Welcome back to DM-Nastics, the gym for dungeon masters to work out their minds. My name is DM Celeste, aka Celestial Witch.
And I'm DM Neal, aka Joke Maniac. And today we are going to tie back to episode number 174, Sickness and Disease, which led Rorik and I to come up with DM-Nastics number 143, Down with the Sickness. That wonderful tune by Disturbed, which has a wonderful cover that I shared with Celeste by a man named Richard Cheese.
Ooh, is all
Yes.
I can say to that.
So please go look up Down with the Sickness, Richard Cheese cover. Yeah. Moving on from that, though. What did we have in that exercise?
Yeah, all right. So on this episode, we took a look at diseases, which you might have been able to guess from the name of this exercise. But what we did here, we have 10 different disease names that we kind of threw out there and invited folks, of course, to answer some questions about it. So our questions we're dealing with: 1, how is the disease contracted? 2, what are the symptoms? 3, what is the end result if not cured? 4, what is the cure? And 5, of course, anything else.
You do you. So, which one did you want to highlight from the forums?
Yes, so I wanted to go ahead and highlight one from a newer folk to the forum, Cobalt Cobald, who has only done 3 posts so far, so welcome. And I loved their post. They went ahead and grabbed the disease name Paragon Insanity. And essentially what this disease is this is something that can afflict anyone who has survived a Mind Flayer attack. So already I was like, yes, I'm there with you. So essentially what happens is that there are these parasites that live inside of like Mind Flayers' minds or other kind of psionic creatures. And so when they attack somebody, you know, they grapple them with their tentacles, right? And then there's a chance that this disease, this parasite, is passed over into the brain of their victim. And over time, the parasite usually feeds on psionic energy, but since, you know, you're not a Mind Flayer or an illithid or anything of that nature, it just begins to eat away at your brain. And the main symptom of this disease, it starts with like memory loss, dementia, nausea, feeling weak, psionic dissidence, so like hearing whispers in your head, all this crazy stuff. But the main system is that you are not aware of any of these symptoms. It just like it eats away all your awareness of it. So all of these symptoms, you're able to excuse them or like you don't notice them. So it's attacking your brain directly. And of course, you know, what is the result if not cured? If left untreated, Paragon Insanity will eat away at the host body and brain until they die. But the cool thing was, like, how can you cure it? Or this other effect was the parasite is used to being, you know, with these creatures that live in these underground environments. So if the host spends too much time in the sunlight, the parasite tries to jump ship, essentially. So after 12 hours of being in bright light, if you are the victim, there's a chance that the parasite will try to exit the body, leaving somebody. So I just thought that was a really, really cool idea because, like, it's already so traumatizing to fight with a Mind Flayer, right? And to almost have your brain eaten, but that there's this, like, secret consequence that can come afterwards. I just thought this was a really well done disease and super scary. So, yeah.
The other thing was that basically if you're just near a dead Mind Flayer for too long, you also have the chance of contracting that. So you're in a very interesting thing to put in kind of like a dungeon delve or something like that. You don't think of it, whatever, it's dead. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But then you find out, oh, you should have worried about it. You should always have worried about it. The other thing is that at the latest stages, kind of right before you would die, you actually start to gain some psionic ability.
Which is so cool.
Well, so I thought that would be a cool way to have like an NPC's backstory, you know, and so like this like past adventurer that had and contracted this, but then it was cured at the final stages, but then they still have like some psionic abilities.
Oh yeah.
Or you know, or even your PC background. That'd be a really cool way to have that happen.
Yeah, no, totally gnarly. Congrats, Cobalt Cobald. That is an awesome disease that I may be using in my own games.
Yes, and congrats, Celeste, on taking Cobalt Cobalt so well.
Cobalt Cobald.
Yes.
I did it right.
So, mine. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm so ready.
is from DM Dragon Punisher.
Ah, this was my other pick.
Yes, who also is newer to the forums and a lover of dwarves. So I find a kindred spirit immediately.
Dwarven barbarians even. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So they chose Haunted Delusion.
Ooh.
And so basically Haunted Delusion comes from a plant that you would just find in the wilderness. And I also love and hate that you just would stumble into it and then terrible things would happen. So either if you're cut by the thorns of this plant or you eat the delicious berries from it, you have most likely then contracted Haunted Delusion, where you will then want to basically gorge yourself on this until you die, one way or the other. Either you're going into this plant continually and getting these lacerations, which is only furthering this disease and the sickness that you have while you're gorging yourself on it. And it's so good because you also have these delusions, and now anyone that's trying to stop you, now you're violent towards them as well. And of course, if you die, a new plant sprouts from your body.
It says, from the bloated stomach of the victim. I was like, that is so metal.
Yes.
And I love the idea that, like, this plant makes you need to eat more of the plant. So you go, like, further and further into the thickets and these tangles to, like, try and get more fruit, like, as you keep eating it until you're inextricably lost, which is just so harsh, man.
So the cure is that, you have lesser restoration in kind of the early stages. You have greater restoration in the later stages. But one of the things that I really liked and is a great idea for sicknesses and diseases, especially if you introduce them earlier on, is that a slower way that costs less resources. So, it says some healers have been successful with a slower, albeit mundane, approach of boiling the root of the plant with another plant and then using a greater healing potion.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just a really cool idea to think of more mundane, but like more intense.
Well, it's cool that they're pulling that in because, I mean, that's the root of antidotes to most poisons, right? It's like you have to use a little bit of the plant itself to create the antidote. So that was cool that they're really nodding to reality with that.
Yeah. And then the other thing in the always amazing You Do You special section is that there's supposedly a group of goblins that will use the juice from the berries on like their blow darts and arrows.
Oh, so rude.
Especially because like my first thought was like, what if there's not any for them to be eating? Like they just go on this like wild fervor of a hunt.
They have to find it out in the world.
Yeah. They're just on the hunt, aimlessly wandering, trying to find more berries.
Yeah. My other favorite thing from this is like one of the reasons. So the vines themselves are called witchthorn, that this is this horrible plant. And witchthorn is named thus because sometimes witches will find these groves of these plants and basically build their houses or their huts in the center of them. And then that's one way they can draw victims in to their houses. So, they'll animate these vines around the area and they'll just start attacking people and drawing them closer and closer into their lairs, which I also thought was a cool little bit of mythology to throw in there.
Yeah, especially the idea that someone could control it. So good.
Yeah, this is very like Hansel and Gretel to me, right? Like, here's my candy berries. Oh, you have to come to my hut now. A tasty snack.
So good. Okay, but with that, we're going to lift the mental weights.
Right now.
Lifting weights is what I do. Look at me. Lift these weights.
So the easiest way we could do it is just roll a d10.
All right. Oh, do I have one? Yes, I do. Here we go. All right. 10. It's halibut heart.
Oh, okay.
Yes!
We're in.
Okay, so for this one, I was Googling halibut to see if there's anything particularly interesting or weird about the fish and why that might be deadly to a heart. So halibuts are flat and they're bottom feeders, and they also grow to be the world's largest fish. So I don't know. So maybe I was thinking something like if your heart like swells or becomes like too large for your chest or something. Yeah. That was a thought I had. Or if it flattens out, like what?
Oh.
It just, so many nasty possibilities.
Yeah, and that's definitely something not to shy away from, the idea of magical sicknesses. But I do love that somehow you've eaten a fish that's ill prepared, or the sea is fighting back, if you will. And like as you eat it, it basically changes your anatomy to be more like that of a fish.
Yeah.
And so it's literally restructuring your internal organ.
Yeah, which obviously wouldn't go well
No.
for most races. They also have eyes on top of their head, which is like, that's wild. When they're born, the eyes are born on opposite sides, but as they age, the eye literally moves up and the skull reforms to be on top of the halibut. They are wild fish, y'all. Go and look them up.
So the other interesting thing is that it's from a biological perspective, a fish heart is much less complex than ours. So a mammal's heart is a 4-chambered situation, and a fish is apparently down to 2.
Whoa.
And so that's super interesting. I would also say that, to kind of escalate things, that as it progresses, basically you'd need to start being or living in water until cured.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. What if you contract it from being in the water?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Oh, bitten by some sort of fish.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's almost like a subtle form of lycanthropy.
Or it's some kind of like weird plankton that you like ingest while swimming or something. Oh. Or like a mold or something that begins to... Ooh!
There we go.
Gross. Oh, man. Well, yeah, if it's like some kind of plankton or mold or something, and then people could poison each other with it. Let's sprinkle it on top of food, like little fish flakes, and then num. Oh, no.
Jeez.
Go to the ocean. Whoa.
What is the cure?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So my first thought was that you could do something that would seem counterintuitive, but what if the simplest way to get rid of it is to just like kind of wait it out, and like you literally go spend a day or so as a fish in the ocean, and it kind of just runs its course. Yeah,
like it's one of those diseases where it's like all we can do is ease your pain, sit in this tank. Imagine that you have like, it's like at Red Lobster, you have like a tank sitting like in your local hospital, people afflicted with this disease. Oh man, I like it. Yeah, there's nothing you could just have to run its course. I can totally see this as like druids making this, like initially getting carried away with like, see how people feel about like polluting the water. They'll have to spend time as a fish now. And then unleashing this like strain that's now gone wild and like happens to people from time to time. What? What are you looking at?
I'm blown away. Apparently Google now has a polyhedral dice roller built in. So I could say 48. I could add a modifier, let's say 48 plus, or 40, 10 plus 5.
That's rad.
And then look, I can just click and they'll go away. So I rolled a 3. Are you ready? For I have rolled Silent Syndrome.
Oh, Silent Syndrome.
So the question is it that people can't hear or that they can't speak?
Ugh.
Yeah.
I think it's scarier if you can't hear. Yeah, the world just goes into silence. Though... if it is something where you can't speak, that would be particularly dangerous for spellcasters.
But then, it's not as impactful for everyone. Done, you can't hear. Got it. So how is the disease contracted? So I would almost, we keep saying disease, but sickness is also in there. But I like the idea of it being magical.
Yeah. Definitely, it feels like something like a result of like a spell misfire or like a picking up a cursed object or something. It definitely, has that feeling to it.
Yeah, so I like the idea, either of like you said, like a silent spell going sideways, or like it being an intentional thing. That like this thing goes off and now you just can't hear anymore.
Yeah.
The symptoms are pretty straightforward. But I would definitely want to make it more of a progressive thing. And then so it's a gradual loss rather than just right away. But then you would eventually have no hearing whatsoever. What is the end result if not cured? What would you have be an escalation beyond just not hearing?
So I think, silence, like, you physically can't hear, but then maybe also you start to not be able to understand like language. So it's like your brain is like being silenced, like you're losing the ability to comprehend or take in information as well. Like your brain eventually goes silent, right? So your function starts to shut down. Ooh, oh, it'd be so scary.
I like it. So what is the cure?
Rowdy party, baby. No.
Doof, 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 doof. So my thought as an interesting cure would be some sort of polymorph.
Oh, like, so you have to, ship. That is, you're all about the polymorph today, or changing into other things today.
Yeah, I thought it would be an interesting way to be able to like cure it. That you have to transform into something else. And then whether or not, depending on like maybe the level of that spell, whether or not it would work. Maybe it would be a short-term cure until you could find something strong enough.
Oh, I like it.
You would have to go through that loss again.
Oh no. That is scary, yeah, because temporary like hearing aids wouldn't, stop the whole progression. Ooh, rough, yeah. Therapeutic polymorph.
Yep.
That's the wizard I want to see out in the world.
You're a bird. Wait, no. Okay, I guess I am.
For your own good. Oh, I love it.
And anything else?
Ooh, maybe people's ears like start to blacken. Like maybe there's like an outer, it's like a necrosis like of the ear thing, so you can actually see it happening. It's not just like a or something horrible like a red spot appears behind your ear or something, like that's the first indication, and then like there's some kind of physical change. Which I think would also make it more dangerous too, because people would be able to, see that and take advantage of you. Like in a combat situation or something.
Yeah, I think another way to look at sickness and disease is that maybe this was weaponized at one point, and kind of the same concept behind no one uses mustard gas anymore, but the idea that people don't use this, kind of almost like building a bit of a Geneva Convention into your world.
And like everybody collectively was like, "This is terrible.
We can't do this. We can't we can't use the silent syndrome anymore."
Ooh, yeah. So it'd have to be something real nasty.
Yeah.
To whip that back out.
Boom. Okay. I say we've done it.
We've done
lifted
it.
The mental weights. Where can people go if they want to tell us about the sickness and disease in their games?
Yes. Okay. You can email us at DM-Nastics@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at DM-Nastics. You can follow Neal at JoteManiac or me, Celeste Konowich, at CKonowich.
Or you can find everything else on the network at blockpartypodcast.com. But with that, rather than let these mental gains go to waste, we're going to head over to taking your supplements.
Ooh. Taking your supplements.
Celeste, what do we got?
Yes, so today I wanted to talk about a super cool supplement that I have been able to check out recently on the DM's Guild, and I'm talking about the Tavern Brawl Builder from Jean Lorbert. And if you folks haven't encountered this yet, this is a supplement all about making tavern brawl encounters more interesting in your games. So not only does it set up some like cool ideas for taverns or reason like fights break out in taverns, it gives great NPC suggestions of those who might be involved in fights. What it actually does is they build a whole system of like, it's like a mini game for like an encounter of how to run a tavern brawl. So it's like gives you these new mechanics for running like a brawl as like a monster, and all of these specific skill checks and challenges. So it's just a really interesting and cool supplement on how to make tavern fights more interesting. And the whole premise being like, who hasn't been in a tavern fight in D&D? Now it's one of the biggest tropes of the game.
Immediate tavern brawl. Well, I mean, because your classic starting in a tavern.
Right.
And then your players rubbing against people the wrong way or ending in a tavern. I mean, it's going to come up. Let's just be honest. It's going to come up.
It's inevitable. And what this supplement does, it gives you a way to make all of those encounters way more interesting. My favorite part of this is that they have a lot of different tables included in the book. So, and it's fun things like items that, pop up in a tavern brawl. So you have you can roll and be like, oh, there's a banana cream pie, or a puddle of oil, or, it's
Yes.
all of these super fun just tables and ways to spice up these encounters. So I had an absolutely excellent time reading the supplement and definitely wanted to recommend it to you folks.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So definitely go check that out. There will be a link in the show notes where you can get it on the DM's Guild.
Woo!
But with that, we'll turn out the lights and head out of the gym.
Before we go, I want to implore you, the listeners, to join the forums and take part in these challenges and exercises, as well as other conversations being had.
And to do that, you just head over to dungeonmasterblock.freeforums.net and try some DM-Nastics. So your players don't ask, do you even lift?
I gotta get a pump.
That's it. It's good. It hurts. I know it does. That's it. Get it.